WTMP HD, Egypt Lake, Tampa, and now on 102.1 in Pinellas County.
All righty. Tampa Bay. It's that time again. And I actually had a chance to hear a couple of the other shows, bits and pieces. I normally don't get a chance because Saturday morning I'm usually doing other stuff. I usually got a full schedule. And next week, we got the big Juneteenth celebration that's happening over, on MLK and Nebraska over the Charles Center. So we're gonna have some more information. We're gonna talk about a little bit about the history, what's going on, because I know they got people who still say I don't know, hadn't heard, whatever. And then we're gonna talk about some stuff that's happening here in Tampa Bay, so I can keep you informed and up to date. So if you want to call in to the show today, the call-in number is 888-247-8712. 888-247-8712. If you want to call me on my cell phone number, Eddie, 813-12. Email Eddie, EDDIE, at porchtalkradio.com. So, what's happening around Tampa Bay? I went to city council meeting. And it wasn't a city council meeting. I went to City Hall on Thursday. It was a CRA meeting. So Lynn Hertach was the chairman, and Guido is the vice chairman, and then the other city council member was sitting around. And since I don't know, before I get there, I could probably go live and find out. But it's the same people. They just sitting in different seats between the CRA meeting and the Tampa City Council meeting. So it's the same people. So my big deal was to go down and kind of help them with the issue that they kept saying we ain't got no money, and then the other thing was we don't know who's responsible. So I found out that there's going to be a new management team for Silver Oaks, and a new management. So evidently they fired the old team. They got a new management team coming in starting July 1st. I was kind of pushed into explaining to them that the people are currently, right now, they're living in squalor. They're living worse than people in third world nations. There is sewage backing up into the shower and tub when they flush the toilet. Open sewage, and live people don't get along very well. That's called sanitation issues, sanitation problems. The rats and the roaches eating up the kids. A couple of other situations that we know are not healthy. So, and I know there's been a time when they could condemn. I know we got to call on that. I'm finish my opening statement.
There you go.
And then we'll go to the caller. We got some health hazard, and babies potentially can get sick. Young kids can potentially get sick. Old folks can potentially get sick. And something needs to be done about that situation. All right, caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this fine Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where are you calling from? And what say you? Hello?
This is your supposed to be guest, Reverend Willie Dixon. I told you I had some problems with a leaking in my garage, so I'm waiting for the technician to come back. I text you, I call you, and I never get a reply. But I'm on the line now. I know you don't usually have your guests talk online. You use that one that person. But,
Yeah. Reverend Dixon, the reason we usually do that is because you can't create chemistry. And folks who listen to the show usually can tell that, but we can go ahead and have the conversation. And on Saturday, anybody who know me, you can't get me on Saturday because 8 o'clock Saturday morning I'm at the Saturday morning breakfast group, and they usually go from 8 to 10:30. Then I have to go get my stuff ready for this show. And this morning I went by the tea and conversation, and then I came on in here. So I'm not. I mean, there's a lot of people have free time on Saturday morning, and I'm not one of them. And both of these guys sitting in the studio with me shaking their head, because it's just not part of my routine. Now that's why I tell people call me after the show if they want to talk or whatever. But I know you had one of them emergency situation came up, and we could talk a little bit about the Juneteenth that's coming up next week. And I was talking to some people this morning about all the stuff that's going on for Juneteenth, and hopefully Thursday city council meeting, you can meet me and Miss Tucker Johnson, Reverend Tucker Johnson, at city council meeting, so we can inform them of what Juneteenth really is all about, and give them a bit of our local history about Juneteenth, and because it was a guy there a couple weeks ago, and he was kind of throwing shade on Commissioner Tucker, and I wanted to make sure that people know from the very beginning the Juneteenth thing was not one of those things where we go to the city, we go to the county, and ask for money to do. My intention way back when, 15 years ago, when we first started doing Juneteenth events, that it stayed in the community. It's not something we need to go to white folks and say, give us some money so we can do this. It was never intended that. And then somebody showed up a couple weeks ago. I was pretty much surprised. Somebody saying, well, they giving all the money to this person, they giving all the money to that person. And like I say, I didn't never want it to be something so that, white folks can see us fussing and fighting, because it ain't that kind of deal. It's a celebration of freedom. And if you don't have no money to celebrate your freedom, you ain't got to do it. But my vision originally was to have something every day in June. We didn't have to ask nobody, can we have a Black Freedom History tell us that something happened on June 19th that was historical for Black folks. And it's up to us to decide to celebrate it and how we celebrate it. And we don't have to get permission from white folks to celebrate freedom, because freedom is what it is. And it's historical, and we ain't, it's not like the LBGT.
They take the month, Eddie.
Plus, and some of these other folks who are saying, we got the month of June. Well, we ain't asked nobody for the month of June. It's ours.
Oh.
And the events we're doing is for us. So again, that's why, I want the community to know, from the very beginning, it was never about getting and having white folks involved in our celebration. It's our celebration.
Now, if they want to contribute cash to it, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's.
An associate.
It's for the people.
Associate bro.
For it's for the people, and for us to have events, and for us to sponsor our own events.
Yeah.
And celebrate. Not to go to the city, to the county,
and begging,
and other thing, and saying, we can't do this without you.
We need your money, please. Give you some money.
That's a sign of weakness,
and they got you.
And I wasn't ever intending for it to be that kind of thing, and then go to city council. Oh well, you gave so and so some money, you didn't give us some. So again, that's what they expect. It's a certain percentage of our population and of their population think that we can't do anything without them. And when I started doing this, over 10 years ago, the whole thing was to do it and do it at a level that it was nice, and it was when I was with the Sheriff Black Advisory Council, I was president, and the sheriff at that time was David G. And David G. came in and took our awards bank, because we used to have it in October, the fourth week in October. We had it for like 28 years. But he didn't want to go to a Hispanic banquet and an Indian banquet and a black banquet. So he said, we're going to combine them all, and it's going to be on our weekend, the weekend that we had. So me saying, okay, you can do that. I'm going to find a date where we can do a celebration for our people, and you can't take it. So I took Juneteenth as the blackest day historically that I could find, and start celebrating a luncheon, on Juneteenth, knowing that no white upstanding person gonna come and say, well, we want to do something on Juneteenth. You see what I'm saying?
You can, Eddie, I think you're trying to say they can do what the hell they want.
Yeah.
But why can't the black people do what the hell they want and pick a day or pick the month? It doesn't really matter.
Well, that's why we have
to beg permission. Can we have your own money to help us? But then they control you if that's the case.
Well, that's what it's all about. Okay, we got a caller. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this fine Saturday morning. Who are you? Where are you calling from? What say you? And hopefully, Reverend Dixon, you're still there. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
I just was wondering, how come those people at Silver Oaks, how come they don't cook them rats and eat them? Because they rats taste good now.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Click.
And believe it or not, in some places that's good protein. But not here in the United States of America. So,
appreciate your input.
As I was saying, if Reverend Dixon, if you're still there, I didn't intend for you to hang up. We gonna have
still there waiting on you to let me in.
Okay, so okay, come on in. You can give information about your program, the date, time, and what are we gonna be doing. Go ahead.
Okay, well on June the 18th, which is a week from today, at 2:30 to 5:30 at the Charles Davis Conference Center, which is located 1002 East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. We will have a free event, free food, entertainment, and I always give away cash money, and I have some gift certificates. And I want to mention something that you mentioned about a person that went before city council. Now, I was really appalled and embarrassed that we would go begging.
Yes.
Because, we might ask for sponsors, but when the sponsor donates to our organization, when we advertise who they are and what they're doing in the community, I don't believe that if you cannot afford to have something on your own, you need to wait until you accumulate some cash.
Cool.
And another thing you mentioned about Silver Oaks. Now, if Silver Oaks had been a private residence, according to the HUD rules, you're supposed to have safe, decent, and sanitary environment.
Yes.
If you and your house was not in that condition, they would fine you. They would have you to put a board over your doors and over your windows. How can they have the audacity not to charge them so much per day for violating the law? Now, is it because they're part of the system? Another thing, Silver Oaks is up for sale. If you go on the internet, it's up for sale. So what they should do is this: fine them so much per day that they will take and walk away from the property. Then we can take some of the nonprofits or some of the individuals that mean some good in the community and rehab that place and make it livable. But nevertheless, didn't get a chance to ask Albert Lee and Brother John.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you think, and I have in my hand the book that you're familiar with, Unfound Loyalty by Reverend Wayne Peterman. Do you think the Democrats today and the Republicans today were a part or similar to the same party some 30 or 40 years ago? And the reason why I ask that is because after integration, a lot of the Democrats became Dixiecrats. And that is what you have in the Democratic Party today. And most people, especially our people, they keep it away from us. Most of the civil rights laws were passed by Republicans, not Democrats. But the Republicans today, they are not the same as the Republicans in the past, because all of the civil rights acts that came before the legislative body, they were rejected by the Democrats. And I'm looking on page here in this same book.
Reverend Dixon.
16th president.
Reverend Dixon. See, that's the boogeyman tale, and they start telling that tale back in the 70s. And so when someone come to me and say, well, the Democrats, turned the Dixiecrats and went to the Republican Party and became racist. Again, that's a bunch of boogeyman crap that they use to scare folks.
Absolutely right.
And it still works, because anytime some Democrat come to me and tell me that, I tell him that the Ku Klux Klan were all Democrats. The Republican president saved us from slavery by signing the Emancipation Proclamation. Then he said, well, he didn't do it for y'all. Well, he did it, and the results was for us. So I'm not trying to make a point of it. He was Republican, and he did it. And the general who took the message to the United States, he was a Republican. So at the end of the day, all of our freedoms and all this other stuff, and people hate Trump because he was because he tweeted and hurt some people freedom, hurt their feelings, But at the end of the day, what he did for our community, what he did for some of the people in the community, gas was $1.59 a gallon, and I hear people keep trying to make excuses for Biden. The first thing Biden did was shut down the Keystone Pipeline.
Right.
That affected the economy, and it affected the flow of gas in America. And later he went back and shut down the other refineries.
80% of leasing in America has been shut down.
So we went from being independent, fossil fuel independent, to being dependent upon the rest of the world, knowing that the rest of the world don't like us, ain't ever liked us. The last time we went through this, if I recall, we had up to then the worst president the country had ever seen was Jimmy Carter. And if you remember when Jimmy Carter was president, you had gas line. Not only was you paying too much for gas, you were waiting 2 hours in line to get it.
I think Joe's making him look really nice now.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm Reverend Dixon. We're gonna talk.
Well, anyway, as I'm looking at page 54 in the book that I mentioned, President Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States, believed that whites were superior to blacks. This was your president, but yet because he didn't enact emancipation for the blacks, but he did it to save a nation, because you had brothers killing brothers, the North fighting against the South, and so he did it for the good of the nation. He said if there was any other way, he would let slavery remain as it is. But all that is history.
But he didn't.
No, he didn't.
That's the important part.
And they know what they did? They killed him. But anyway.
Yeah, they did.
Woo!
And people forget that Johnson sat around with a table and called MLK the N-word, and he went and listened and read, the book and said, if we do this right, we can have them for the next 300 years. So that was Johnson, and he was sitting around calling public. That supposed to have been Trump's big thing, but Johnson did it without thinking twice about it because he's from Texas. That's what they called black folks back then.
And you mentioned that, and I always looked at I went to Dallas, Texas, and I went by the place where he was shot from the window. But anyway, if you remember on the airplane, I'll never forget when they were swearing in Lyndon Baines Johnson. I looked at the face of Lady Bird Johnson. See, a lot of people don't know the real conspiracy what happened.
Right.
You know, and in the next 100 years, they're gonna really tell the truth of what happened. Because as you know, President Kennedy was supposed to be murdered here in Tampa, Florida.
Right.
I know you know the theory of that too. But anyway, what I want to say is, as my friend Mrs. Mary Alice Dawson would say, all white folks are not bad and all black folks are not good. It's a person. And as I told you the last time we talked, that when you start the Republican Party, I'm going to become a member. I don't vote for the party, I vote for the person. The person that is going to work for the benefit of the people. And you know, and I always hear this. I heard it today, and they always say the black and the brown people. But I have yet to hear the brown people talk about they're going to do this and that for the black people. And then I want to let you know, in 1941, I was living in West Tampa. Do you know that I could not go across Main and Howard unless I'm going to a Lisa's Bakery or to the post office? See, white folks are not the only people that's crazy. It's just some of them. Because back then, Spanish people lived there. We couldn't go to the park there. We couldn't go to the park or McFarland Park.
Well, the Spanish and the Italians, the Italians used to be the Italians.
No. This is in West Tampa.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking all Spanish people live in West Tampa. They spoke Spanish. So go down Main Street, they still there. You see still the same houses all the way from Howard to McDill. All of that area, we could not go to that park back then. So, and they weren't white folks. But see, I heard something today on the show. This lady is running for Attorney General. And she said, and I heard Sean Shaw say it, he was asked by a reporter, how does it feel to be the first black person to run for this office? Well, see, I would do what the master teacher would do. When he would ask a question, I would have turned around and say, how do you feel being a member of a race that prevented black people from being able to run for public office? And last week, and you heard it because we got city council. We saw one of the councilmen said, "Well, I wasn't living during this time. I'm not responsible for this." But every white person that's living today, they are benefiting from the evil and the trickery that their granddaddy and their great granddaddy did.
Yes.
Because what? Without black folks and what they did to build this country. And see, a lot of whites don't realize when they were in caves, we had Timbuktu, we had universities in Africa. And we need our young people, it's by design. I went to a historical black college. Meharry Medical School is down the street. And Fisk is down the street. Do you know they did not teach us what happened in Tulsa? They did not teach us about Juneteenth. You know why? Because it is the people in authority that approve the books that's going to be written. And if you want to put anything in there that shows the greatness and all of the inventions Dr. Carver and all of the things do about the blood classes and all that, they don't want you to know the greatness of black folks. This thing is by design. And we need to wake up and we need to have in every educational institution, we should teach about Juneteenth. Yesterday, a young man called me from Tulsa. He said that his family knew about Tulsa. They're part of that movement because there was, I'll never forget, There was a guy that was in college, and the professor was talking about what happened on Green Street out in Tulsa and the Black Wall Street, how they were destroyed with airplanes and bombs and so forth. He said, no, that didn't happen in Tulsa. He was born in Tulsa, but the people, his grandfather and grandmother, they were fearful to talk about what happened.
They wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't, and they didn't teach it in Tulsa.
That's right. It was almost 100 years. And here in Tampa, they do not teach in Tampa. You know where the Lightning play hockey?
Yep.
You know that was called the Garrison. That was the black community.
Yep. It used to be.
And where down in High Park, where Doverville was, the blacks lived there on Palm and Ola. All of that part of Tampa Heights was all black. But by design, when you have the Tampa Waterworks, it took 40 years of the different mayors to come in and change the paradigm of that area. But see, that is a part of a conspiracy. And I feel bad about it because they use us as nonprofits.
Well,
they use us as nonprofits to go to people and ask them to sell their land. But we didn't know the trickery that they had in mind.
Well, Reverend Dixon, part the reason all of downtown Tampa was surrounded by black neighborhoods, back in those days, they didn't have buses, so in order for the blacks to service all those big buildings and hotels and motels and complex and warehouses, they had to walk. So all the way around downtown Tampa, all those neighborhoods were black because that blacks were the workforce back then, and they could walk downtown to work and they could walk home when they got off. That was part of the process.
Hold on, Eddie. Let me straighten you out. You weren't here. I was born in Tampa in 1931, so I know all the changes. Before there was buses, there was streetcars.
Yeah.
We used to catch the streetcars, and when you didn't catch the streetcars, they rode bicycles.
But they could still walk from where they were if they wanted to.
They didn't have to. They walked because they wanted to exercise. because there was transportation. You had streetcars running all up and down Main Street, all the way downtown on Franklin Street. There was a connection with streetcars before there was buses. Did you know that?
Yes. They still got the tracks downtown.
Yeah. And see, so that's nothing new. But see, there was a conspiracy. See, gentrification, we call it gentrification, but white folks call it progress. When they come into, and they know, they got I'll never forget, I went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and Reverend Thomas Scott, he was county commissioner at the time, and he was talking about a 25-year plan. The man said, hold it. We don't have a 25-year plan. We got a 50-year plan. I said, you know what? These people plot. But it's because of the lack of knowledge. You can go downtown and look at those plans, but most of our people don't know where to go and where to look. See, because they know that knowledge is power. Do you know it was illegal at one time for black folks to read and write?
Yep.
Yep. And when white folks tried to teach us how to read and write, they were punished. And I'm looking at another man, Suffer. He was talking about ending slavery. That man was stoned on the floor of Congress. And we need to have more politicians like Congressman Flake. And see, we have politicians now. They need to know the law and know what the government can do and what they cannot do. You know, when I go into the prisons, I go before elected officials, and they say, you must think you're white. No, I don't think I'm white. I know I'm right. When I'm right, I would die for what I know is right. Because they know the system. But I was fortunate enough to be around people who didn't look like me. They taught me how they survive and how they maneuver within the system. They hide these things from most people.
Reverend Dixon.
Don't know is dangerous.
Reverend Dixon, now, I gotta say, for those who don't know you, you are a light-skinned black person, so you ain't dark. You know, now if you'd have been dark, even your life would have been different.
You got it back, because a lot of people think I'm Hispanic when they see me, so
Yeah.
I start talking.
Yeah.
See, but this here again, here's another thing. Let me tell you this. Going back, I'm glad you mentioned that. I happened to go to George Washington and Martha Washington home. And I passed by the slave's house where they had the slaves, and the curator said, Martha and George did not have any children. I told her that's a half truth. Martha and George didn't have any children.
But George got plenty.
George wanted to have, I said, look at my skin. I should not be this complexion. It's because he had the choice to go with all of the black women, but the white women did not have the choice to go with the black men. All when integration came, then it was almost like they had jungle people.
Yeah, they all had it. They all had it.
If you notice this, and it grieves my spirit. I see some of the nice, handsome young men. They be with some of them other women, man. They don't even want them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Back in the 50s, you know, they would have murdered them. And do you know, if you go back in history, that you see that whites used to take black women, cut the baby out, and use it for alligator bait. Did you know that?
Yep.
But see, they don't want this taught in our schools. They don't want their children to know how evil their grandparents were.
Yeah, that's why they.
And their great grandparents.
Okay,
That's why they talk.
Okay, Reverend Dixon, we got another caller, so just hold on. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello.
This is Adam from Tampa.
Yes, Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah, thank God for people that like Reverend Dixon that have lived long enough to bear witness to all of this, because better watch out, Eddie, because the thing is, what you're talking about is that TRC. They're like, you know what, you're gonna have the statue trying to show down because you're telling the truth. You're letting people like Reverend Dixon tell the truth about the century of white folks in America. You gotta watch out, because you know what? We passed those laws that if white folks feel bad about their history or whatever, they can come at you. And I just want to say about as far as the history about the Democrats and the Republicans and the Democrats or whatever, what Reverend Dixon talked about as far as Lincoln is concerned, and he's telling the truth. The thing is that if we're going to have an honest conversation, let's have the whole conversation. Let's talk about the whole entire truth. That Republicans or Lincoln was so benevolent that he wanted to free the black folks in the Union, and that's the truth. And you talk about like with Trump and everything like that. I just love that these committee hearings are going to bear witness to all the treacheries that he has done, so that
And Trump's still gonna be president again in 24. So
And he's gonna run for 8 more years.
So don't pound your chest too hard.
Nah.
I'm just saying.
you know what? The Democrat of Trump, that the Republicans are being behind or getting behind or whatever. They're gonna have his own chin as Liz Cheney said. She said
Liz Cheney. Oh my God, CNN's talking person.
Yeah. Well. Again, at the end of the day, at the end of this process, you know, like I said earlier, you know, I'm going to within the next couple of weeks start up another Black Republican club right here in Hillsborough County.
You welcome to join, Adam.
And there's a lot of people. I went to a tea and conversation this morning, and there's a lot of people say, "Can I join? I'm independent, but can I join?" And I said, "Yeah." You know, so the Black Republican Club is about moving a movement within this community, because it's an awful lot of black candidates that I didn't even know. You know, so they're gonna need some support, and we're gonna be out there to support them.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
they have to carry the water for the Republicans.
Yeah, we don't mind. You know, you're not saying something
You're
that somebody else
Biden, so
haven't said and saying we don't know. So thank you for your call.
Later, bud.
Next caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Oh, they dropped. Okay.
Nope.
Okay, well, Reverend Dixon's still there. Reverend Dixon, you still there?
I'm still there. I'm listening.
Okay.
But let me tell you something, Brother Eddie. When Trump President Donald John Trump was failing by 6%. In my spirit, the Lord told me that he's going to be elected as the president. And when I emailed that out, they thought I was crazy. I said Trump will be elected. Now, but let me tell you something. I know how you feel about Trump, and Trump sent me that $2,000 too. But look, when he signed it, that's the first time that he signed it when it came from the Treasury Department. But remember this is recorded. Mike Bloomberg wrote a letter.
I know we got a caller.
In the newspaper, he said that Trump was a con man. Though Trump came back and said, you all know because you won too. But see, Trump is not a regular politician. This is why he was able to do a lot of things that the politicians couldn't deal with. Now, Trump did some good things. I know Jerusalem became the capital of Israel. He did a lot of good things. And he did some things but not so good, like some other politicians.
Every politician has done something good and something bad. I mean, Trump ain't special. That's what I'm saying. And Trump was more of a businessman, you know, and he wasn't restricted by the courtesies that go on in D.C. because a lot of that is courtesy. You wash my back, I wash your back. You know, that was a lot of stuff, and Trump didn't have to do that because he had his own money. So that kind of made that be awkward for a lot of people because Donald Trump didn't need them, and if you don't need somebody, you know, you don't need their money, and that means that you know influence. They have no power over him.
Yeah, big time. You got it.
Well, okay. I tell you what, we got a governor that's trying to out-Trump Trump.
That's true. He is right now. He is right now.
Embarrassing all the other Republicans.
He's he's the most popular governor of all 50 states in the United States. We got another caller. Let me let this other caller on for a second. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this fine Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where you calling from? And what say you? Hello.
Hey, my name is Robin. I'm calling from Tampa.
Hey, Robin.
Hi. Y'all are giving Reverend Dixon the mic. I had to call because I was like, this must be Reverend Dixon Day.
Well, Robin, let me see. Reverend Dixon was supposed to have been here in studio, but he had an emergency at home. So since he called in and said he couldn't make it in the studio, and I normally don't do call-in shows, but Reverend Dixon
is Reverend Dixon
is with us,
Reverend Dixon.
and he's with us, and I'm joining his team for the Juneteenth next week. So we got to get the information out there, and so I gave him privilege. And the fact that he's 90 years old, you know.
That's right.
I'm giving him respect.
He can have his ice cream first.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Robin.
No, I just wanted to say I wanted to just acknowledge Reverend Dixon and his comments. I've heard them 100 times because I talk to him pretty much every day. And they're great, you know, we need to take heed to them, right? Because,
yes.
We don't have to reinvent things and we don't have to redo things. This housing crisis is important. Thursday, June 16th, please come down to support the campaign that's been going on. Blanket get off the pot. We really need for the electors or the electors to make a decision as to where they're going to stand, whether they're going to stand with the people or whether they're going to stand with profit. So Thursday, 9 o'clock, please come down, wear red to support the endeavor.
Come down to where?
I'm sorry, City Council. 315 East Kennedy.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew where
Thank you for that.
Where it was coming down to.
Hey, Robin, before you get off the line, you used to be the president of the Black Caucus organization. Do you think the white Democrats respect the issues of the black people in Tampa and the United States?
Don't get me on that.
Woo! Woo! Come on, no, be truthful. Came the devil and tell the truth.
Oh, no, you know, I don't start wrestling the truth because that's what I speak. So I think that for years the Democratic Party had wanted to utilize the draw the connection with us and the DEC.
Yeah.
Because if we're pushing for qualified blacks to be put in office, and they have an idea of who they want to put in office, that's a conflict.
Yes. And
So,
and the voting rights. One of these days, you know, and Robin and Reverend Dixon.
Keep on that, Eddie.
I'm going to keep on it because it's no reason blacks don't have the right to vote in this country for all the numbers and time and energy and money that that Democrats have received from black folks in this country. I'm just saying.
I have asked that question. I have yet receive an answer in regards to why is it every 10 years we have to go back on for approval to get our rights?
Yep.
I have not received an answer as to why that happened.
And right now, you guys got the president, you got the Senate, and you got the House of Representatives. They can decide tomorrow, make a motion, and it could be done. Everybody vote for it, Biden sign it, and that's another feather in his cap. But they won't do it.
No.
Well, I think it's more than just the voting rights. I think that they need to pass that John Lewis bill.
Yeah.
Because that encompasses everything.
Right.
So yes, and I'm not sure whether it could be done by executive order.
No. You want the House and the Senate to vote on it, so it's the law. Because the next president can come in and cross out an executive order. So you want the House and the Senate to vote on it, and you want it to become a law.
But so what Trump did, and I ain't mad at him at doing this. If they didn't get it passed, or they wouldn't pass it, he did what? An executive order.
Oh yeah, he did.
So if you're speaking to your people, because I get sick and tired of people coming into the community making promises that they know that they can't keep.
Right.
But I'm sick and tired of the community not knowing or recognizing the promises that they can't keep.
And not holding their feet to the fire. Not holding their feet to the fire.
Correct. There is power in people.
Yes.
We're doing that in city council.
Yes.
There is power with people.
And Robin, I'll be there next Thursday because I'm gonna have Reverend Dixon and I'm gonna have Pastor Tucker Johnson, with me because we're gonna be teaching them about what Juneteenth is and what it means and all that kind of stuff. So we can get a twofer. Back in the old days, that's what they call it. You get two for one.
2 for 1. Well, we welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will have a busy week because we know that our Commissioner Gwen Miller is having her event on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and then you're going to be down there on Thursday, and then Pastor Tucker Johnson and the mayor, they're doing their thing on Friday, and then we're doing Juneteenth on
Saturday.
I mean, I got a full week.
Yeah.
Start taking naps now.
And they got a big Juneteenth thing at the stadium, and they got a big Juneteenth thing in St. Pete. But this is what we want. There's plenty of people that go to all these events because it's about Juneteenth.
And one thing about our Juneteenth is free, and we give away money, and those other people are charging. So what we do have State Representative Driscoll going to be there, and Robin going to be one of our speakers. She's going to tell us she did not depend on the welfare system. We have another sister going to be there to talk about mental illness, and we hope to let Connie be able to talk about ex-offenders, how we need to get all the ex-offenders who cannot vote to get 3 people to vote on their behalf, and they can get the right person in office or keep the right person in office.
And we're going to have Sean Brown Entertainment.
Yeah, Sean Brown going to be there, Tina McCoy. So we're going to have an exciting time as usual, and we're cutting down the number of attendees because of COVID-19 because we want to be safe. And I went yesterday to take my test to make sure that I'm safe. I had my 2 shots and my 2 boosters, and when the next one come out, and let me say something for everybody. The reason why black folks are a little hesitant, they think about the Tuskegee Institute. And the reason why most of Cuban people don't vote Democrats to think about the Bay of Pigs to the Kennedy. See, they grandparents through all this lobbying and misinformation and their understanding, and this is why they vote, and that's the way they are.
Yeah.
But they need to go back in history. Well, look, I still have a mark on my shoulder that I got when I was in grade school.
So do I.
Nobody questioned that. I didn't know what it was. I'm not a chemist, you know. But we did not. And I tell you, in these other countries, and Hillsborough County and in Dade County, that virus is coming back stronger because we've been going out to these different death thousands of people bleeding on each other. And I know one case in particular, and it should be against the law. This person knows that they were part of it, and they're going around other people. Now, according to the law, if you know that you have AIDS or contagious disease, you will be charged with a crime.
Yep. Okay, we got another caller. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this fine Saturday afternoon. Who are you? Where are you calling from? And what say you? Hello.
Good afternoon. I'm just calling on what Mr. Reverend Dixon just said about having three felons, get three felons and get them to vote for somebody. See, that's the issue. My issue with the Democratic Party is they passed something where the felons should have the right to vote, but we don't even fight for that. That should be one of the main issues, and we should just hammer that home. You know, one thing about Republicans and Democrats, the Democrats just say what they're going to do and don't do it. At least the Republican will tell you he's not doing it and be proud about it.
That's right. That's it. Amen.
Thank you very much. And on that note, I'm just letting folks know that the Republican, Hillsborough County Republican Party, Hillsborough County Black Republican Party organization club is going to get started here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to make sure everybody know. And if you're a registered Republican or a registered independent, you are welcome. There may be some Democrats that come, because I gotta let everybody know, before I became a registered Republican, I went to several Republican club meetings, and I was a registered Democrat. They accepted me.
Investigating.
You know, and yeah, I want to know what I was getting into. So again, you know, the opportunity will be there, and if you decide to come on over to the dark side, you know, we can get you
come into the light.
Get you registered and get you involved. You know, because I tell folks, we don't recruit for the Republican Party, but if you believe in what we do. You know, Porch Talk been around for 13 years, so you've heard this and you heard me say it, and I know people talk, well, you changed. No, I haven't changed. What's happened? You have changed, and that's for the good, and that's for the better. So we good with that. All right, now we're gonna do on this day. We got to do that, Reverend Dixon. We got to get this in. So
Okay, now I understand. Yeah.
okay, on this day, June the 11th, 1962, U.S. President John F. Kennedy accepted an honorary degree from Yale. On this day, June 11th, 1963, Governor Wallace, everybody remember, tried to prevent blacks registering at the University of Alabama. On this date, June 11th, 1963, U.S. President John F. Kennedy said segregation is morally wrong and that it is time to act. Now, he said that in 1963. And on this day, I know a lot of y'all may remember, not remember, on this day, June 11th, 1967, race riots in Tampa, Florida, National Guards were mobilized. Gabriel.
CNN's polling shows right now that the GOP will take huge House majority, best position in over 80 years. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate those liberal policies. 80 years, folks. Now, meanwhile, China has elected the WHO Executive Board. And remember the WHO and then China? China gave us...
World Health Organization.
Yes.
That's what it means.
WHO, right. Who? Going on. Meanwhile, California is the #1 gun control state. Oh, that's right. They also have the most active shooters. Maybe that'll tell somebody something's not working. Keep on going on, folks. Scientists are planning to feed bugs like crickets and mealworms to children ages 5 through 11 in 4 primary schools in the UK.
Wow.
Bugs. Try and get them off that food stuff. Now, after it's all saying, I can't believe we don't have world peace after changing the name on the syrup bottles and the butter packages. Isn't that just weird, folks?
Aunt Jemima?
Yeah, Aunt Jemima. But you know what's even weirder, now I think about it, is being the same age as old people. That's getting to me, Eddie.
You are getting old.
That's wearing me thin a little bit.
But it beats the alternative.
Yes, not breathing at all. Meanwhile, Colin Powell is transitioning in order to make part of the Carolina Panthers cheer squad. He ain't giving up, folks. Meanwhile, guess who this is? Poor guy has earned just over $1 billion. He is now an official billionaire in such a racist country as America. Who could it be? LeBron. A billionaire in the most racist country on the planet, he says, with his own private security team, his own private jet, and I don't know how many mans that boy got. He got a bunch of them. Meanwhile, with aimless leadership in America, or no leadership, Mexico's president says, hey, let's make America into a super state, and we'll get all the people over there, and just call it one big thing. I just call it one big enchilada. I don't think they're going to call it. Meanwhile, Democrats, and to someone that called earlier talking about that January 6th thing, that fake, that hoax, that baloney, BS, the Democrats have confessed last week on the news media that and of course there was also the New York Times article that the January 6th committee serves no purpose outside of weakening Republican voter bases and bolstering Democrat voters in midterms. It's a farce, it's a joke, it's a waste of millions of tax dollars going on out there, folks. Finally, she says it's the guy's duty to pay the bill at the restaurant. That's why the menu is called that, menu. He says it's both our responsibility. That's why it's called men in you. There we go, folks.
All right, you had to reach deep to get that one.
I had to work on that, but I got it.
All right. Now I'm gonna tell you something. What he just said. If you're young and you're out on a date with somebody you're not familiar with, if you want to go on a date more than once with that young lady,
detail. This is the detail part.
You better use the first menu, not the men in you. So I'm just saying,
going Dutch.
I'm just saying, later when you know her better, you could do the men in you. But at first,
no, you better. You don't see that again.
Yeah, exactly. Reverend Dixon, give the information one more time. Then we got to go off there. Oh, he's not there.
We'll hold this 10th annual Juneteenth celebration next Saturday from 2:30 to 5:30. The location is 1002 East Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, Jr. Boulevard. And we're going to give away free money. We're going to have plenty food. Sean Brown will be there. Trina McCall, another anointed saint will be there. We have Representative Driscoll, she will be there. And we're going to have Rob in there. And we're going to have several other people that you would want to know. We want to show all of, and I do have my daughter, Gilbertina Wright, who was a deputy chief of the police. She will be our MC. So we have a fantastic evening that will be safe. We're going to have everything safe, and we are requiring masks. If you don't have a mask, I'll have a mask for you. And I think you will enjoy yourself and learn more about Juneteenth and why we should have every child and every school to know the history of Juneteenth and why they tried to keep this hidden from black folks.
All right, Tampa Bay. It was great. Another week. We love you.
God bless.
Bye-bye.